Hello everyone, good evening. I have a special treat for you guys tonight. I'm here on the Stitchin Heaven Patriot Cruise, and what I've got for you is sort of self-explanatory, but a Q&A with our fabulous quilt teachers, so I hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Gentlemen's Night. This will be our question and answer forum. Most questions are on the table. How many passes do each one get? One. We each get one pass.
Oh.
And then you have to answer.
Then you have to answer.
Unless it's totally inappropriate. Or we'll just make up, never mind, we'll just make up a different answer than what would not be inappropriate. So, there you go.
So that means you're going to be quiet the whole time.
Rob, quiet?
Not till you get it.
Or not. Probably not going to happen.
Yeah, now we're Rob. It's not.
All right. So who would like to start us off? Does anyone have a question they would?
I'll ask the first one. What is your favorite quilt pattern?
And would you like us just to go down the row for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on.
My favorite is Hero's Comfort by Sharon Henry Lake.
My favorite quilt pattern, I don't know that I have one because it's going to flex, but right now I've been using my double tumbling blocks as a really good way to get stuff done in a hurry. So I'm going to pick this year, that's my favorite pattern.
Whatever I get out of the house, I'm not partial. It's whatever the flavor of the month is for me, whatever I see that attracts me, that's my favorite quilt for the month. But if I can get it out of the house, that's my favorite.
What quilt have you made the most?
You don't get to ask the question.
Why not?
Because it's the audience.
Well,
ask.
that's not true. You can cash in
Kaleidoscopes.
your one pass. if you like
Kaleidoscopes.
that.
I probably made more kaleidoscopes than anything.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's
But
what
that's
I
only
wanted
right
to
now.
say.
Yeah.
Many what? I'm sorry.
Kaleidoscope quilts.
Kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope.
Oh, kaleidoscope.
Colors. I like colors. If it looks like it came out of 1776, I don't like it.
But if it came out of the hippie days, you love it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in love. I'm in love. I'm in love.
Right. Psychedelic.
That's right. Okay, who's got another question for us?
How long have the three of you known each other?
Ooh, how long have
This
the
is,
three
this is
of
the look I give my wife when people ask us how long we've been married. You know that face?
long enough?
How long have you been married?
We've been married. Personally, we've been married for 3 years.
3 years?
Right?
Yeah.
About 3 years since we've known each other personally. Well, we've known of each other longer.
In person, right? Like,
Yeah.
How long have we known each other in person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
November 9th? November 9th and November 10th.
Right. So technically he's knowing me. And
Anybody know what November 10th is?
Veterans Day.
Hoorah!
Of
Number
2021.
2021.
no,
Yeah.
22.
Yeah, 2022.
That's all. It seems like you guys have known each other forever.
Right?
It feels like eternity.
You're welcome.
It's like we're
You're welcome for
married.
that.
One day it's...
I'm supposed to repeat the question, and that's it with a microphone. So
But how long have you guys known each other virtually before you met in person?
How long have we known each other virtually? I've been a stalker of Rob's since 2018, and of Mark's just barely after that.
So in 2018, my sister-in-law, who has her own YouTube channel called Mindless Crafting, she asked me, she said, you ever heard of the Combat Quilter? And I was like, no, I've never heard of this guy. And she's like, yeah, he's a quilter and he's known for doing quilts. And immediately I was like, I hate him.
Yeah.
And I looked him up and I saw that he was little. So I had mercy. I was like, oh man, this guy's pretty cool. So we started, interacting digitally, but we never met personally until
until I picked you up at the airport.
Yeah, I came out of there. Yeah, so I get into where's that? Tyler, Texas.
What would you do without me? I'm here to help.
Tyler,
you make sure
Texas.
everything.
I go in, I land, I grab my bag, I'm going out. I've seen Andrew before, but every time I seen him, he's standing on a stool. I'm looking for a guy that's my height. I'm the average height of an American male, 6 feet. And I see him, and he's standing there, and he's got this big ass smile on his face, and I'm like, I'm in love. I had the hearts pumping above my head. We gave each other a big hug,
How does that make you
and we
feel?
talked like schoolgirls all the way into Stitchin Heaven.
Do you remember what I said about that applique shit?
not repeating.
Not repeating, okay.
I didn't want to like either of them. Straight up. And can you all hear me in the back okay if I use my big boy voice? Yeah, no, I wanted to be like the only guy in the quilting thing, and every time I went anywhere, after people gave me a hug, said, hey, have you heard the Quilting Marine or the Combat Quilter? And I was jealous as hell, so I didn't really want to like these guys at all. I watched very little of their content because I didn't want them to even get the minutes of viewership out of me, even though I was stalking them. But then we had an opportunity to come together, and I assumed they didn't really know who I was, even though I'd been stalking them a little bit. And yeah, so for me it was reaching out to them because Suzanne had mentioned that we put something together neat at Quitman at Stitchin Heaven. So, but before that, I really didn't care for either of these guys.
Can I call bullshit on that?
No, it's true. Straight up. I thought we were supposed to be honest tonight. Yeah. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially from you. Jealous.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely didn't. Well, I had a guy crush on Rob because, you know, when you pull up men who quilt on any social media, Rob comes up, right? And then, you know, Rob is actually,
He's the GOAT.
how do you say it? Rob's the man, right? And he's what I wanted to follow when it came to my quilting and getting better in what I do, and he's the standard for me.
Next question, please.
You got your clean.
Okay.
Well, to add on, you know, our relationship has grown, and you know, we have our own little quirks, and we know how to figure each other out. And I'll always be Andrew's defender and Rob's defender to the end because they have my best interest at heart as well as I do for them. So I will always be their marine security, always.
They offer me a group of freedom because when we travel together, I don't have to be the teacher always. I don't have to always be on because the three of us can do it. And or a lot of times you've all seen my stuff, but maybe you haven't seen them teach yet. And so I would much rather now be the support crew and be part of it, but without having.
Says the person who hijacked my class teaching binding.
Well, I'm just saying. we can all learn from each other. But I like watching these guys get out there. But it takes a lot of pressure off of me. So when we decided to do an all guys retreat, which was mostly just a bunch of us friends getting together to quilt, it was interesting. I went and just completely relaxed the whole time. I did very little. I didn't do any sewing. I did a little bit of cutting, trimming of the eagle. And that was basically it. Had a couple Nerf wars, wonderful food, had a great old time. I didn't think about it. At the end, some of the other retreat attendees were like, we were kind of hoping you were going to be teaching and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, no. I was an attendee of the retreat. You see, none of us were doing any, because we want everybody to feel comfortable and free. So that's one of the things that I didn't realize would so quickly be such a blessing for me is not having to always be on when we've got our, you know, triangle happening.
One of the directives that we try to keep between us when we get together or when we have retreats is to keep it fun. Keep it what this is supposed to be, fun. No stress, nobody browbeating, none of that. No egos. You know, when we get together, we act like 13-year-olds. We really do. And
Could have fooled us.
we hope that it transfers and that you guys will have us back or have us to one of your locations. I'm available. My number is.
I've got postcards in the middle of the table. What else can we answer for you?
I got business cards right here.
Yeah.
What's your least favorite quilting technique?
I don't even know how to answer that. I'm not.
Applique, paper piecing.
I'll repeat the question real quick. What is our least favorite quilting technique?
I'm not experienced enough to have one. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I can answer this.
All right, go for it.
I'm sorry, Tina. Paper piecing is my least favorite thing because I don't know how to do it correctly. I know I'm coming to a cruise after mine so I can learn.
Yeah. Well, I've never attempted needle turn applique, so if I'm as bad at that as I am at paper piecing, then I probably have two least favorite quilting techniques.
Needle turn is too slow for you.
Needle turn's too slow for me. I do like curve piecing. That's pretty fun. So if I could get away with that kind of stuff, but yeah, I'm gonna go with paper piecing because I'm pretty terrible at it myself. So, right?
Two new classmates right here.
That's right. That's right.
Paper piecing requires a lot of exactitude. You don't have that.
Right. No.
Who doesn't have that?
I don't.
Rob doesn't have it.
I don't have
Okay.
I don't have that either. I purposely got in this corner.
We were going to challenge ourselves. The three of us even had picked out the Quilt Works, the Judy Niemeyer quilt kits that were available at Stitchin Heaven because we figured. Well, we haven't even started yet because we each picked ones that we liked, and we were going to work on them throughout the year. And each one of us each month post kind of where we were at. And by having the pre-cut kits, it seemed a lot easier. But right now we have so many other things going on that we would actually like to do that still as a series of us learning and posting together across the channels because we do think it would be, we want an ongoing, a long-term project because we also do a lot of these short-term projects.
Tina,
to one of our
look for a
retreats.
box in the mail.
Right. So you're sending me to Tina's?
I'm sending mine to Tina.
I see a couple hands.
Y'all picked something really hard to start with.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's the hardest in the world.
Teaching you. That's why it's hard.
I'm not gonna try. I won't. The only way for me to stay focused all year, a little bit at a time, is to have something that I really want to make. And those Judy Niemeyer quilts, especially that what's it called? It's the one with the black and the gray, and then all the ombres, Tina.
Coral reef.
Oh yeah. So if I'm gonna work that hard and I'm gonna work that well, that's the quilt I want. And so
I have a job, so I don't have the time.
You've got a job.
I got a job.
Right. Was there another question also over here?
Well, I was gonna say, you need to contact Michael Davison for your lesson. Because
Right.
I learned more from him on the last cruise about paper piecing, and I know how to paper piece.
Right. Well, and
Explains
Another
it
guy,
very
Quilter?
easily.
Yeah, he's good.
oh, and I'm just going to take what you've got to say and expand on it. This is one of the things that's kind of cool about all of us traveling together, right? Because we may have multiple teachers of the same thing in the same room. Maybe long arming, maybe applique, whatever it is, but we're always going to have different techniques. And if we can take the time to slow down and show each other those techniques, you're right, we can learn a lot. And for a lot of times, if you can just get that light bulb moment, you know, and once you get that light bulb moment, you can carry on to the next, and you know, whatever layer or level that is you're trying to get to.
You need the light bulb moment on paper piece.
Yeah, I need.
Game changer.
Yeah.
No, you need floodlights.
I need floodlights for paper pieces. Yeah. Were you trying to ask a question as well? Okay.
I have a question.
Alright.
How many projects do you have that are unfinished right now?
That's a great
How many UFOs do we each have right now?
Yep.
2 right now.
2?
2 right now.
That's all.
Wow, that's
What?
That's impressive.
That's
I'm slow. Wait, what are we talking about? Hold on. I am slow, okay? 2.
Does it count that my quilts in the back of the room are not
Wait, let's go
bound?
back. Let's go back. Let's go back. What are we considering unfinished? Wait.
Unfinished.
Those are not finished.
Binding.
Okay.
Those are
Whatever.
Not finished. Those are
But what if my excuse is really legit for not having those finished?
No. It's
Can I
still
get a ruling on the
unfinished.
excuse before we decide? If
No, it's still unfinished.
Boo, I'm getting boo over here. Okay, so let's see. I'm doing a block of the month, so I can't be finished yet.
Just a count. Just a count.
Yeah, no explanation, just a number.
Take off your shoes and count.
I think I'm a single-hander. I think it's 5.
Seriously?
I think it's 5 right
Oh,
now.
5 back there.
No, there's only 2 unbound quilts back
okay,
there.
okay.
A block of the month, the thing I'm starting to build to teach on the virtual quilt, and then
What's
that's only 4.
Wow.
You're Judy Niemeyer.
I haven't started. I haven't started, so it's not
Did you buy
unfinished.
it? Did you buy it?
It's not started.
No, I haven't purchased it yet.
Okay.
Wait, what's that
4 to
mean?
5.
Did you buy it? What's that mean?
If you
You've
buy,
already purchased it, it's not finished.
It's
not finished.
Oh,
It may not be
I have it.
started, but it's not finished.
I have a bound quilt without my logo on it. So I am at 5.
Tina!
All right, Anna.
Tina! That's 3. I'm changing it to 3. I got Tina on my team.
so how many did you have? unfinished?
0.
Is it-
Whoa.
0.
So that means nothing's cut out right now?
Nothing is cut.
Nothing is cut.
Wow.
So you could go anywhere from a dozen to 0 in 24 hours.
Good.
Wow.
So are you
I have-
the type of person that starts one, finishes it, and then moves on to the next project?
Sometimes I have 4 or 5 quilts going all at one time.
I understand that.
What's the matter with you?
How big is your stash of fabric at home?
Do you know my wife is sitting here? What are we doing here?
That's something you don't have.
Yeah.
It's not that much, really.
No, I've seen it. It's small. You've got a couple bolts of fabric.
Yeah.
It all fit in the back of the little car. We were all right. Right. We're doing that.
Mark.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't want to brag, but a few days ago, before we left on this wonderful adventure together, I was speaking to the national sales manager over at Bendertex, and I said, but Jeremy, remember, your warehouse is my warehouse. So, I don't know if I can count that as a stash, and if I can, several thousand bolts. So,
And how about you?
I could probably fit my stash in the bed of a 1-ton truck.
Amateurs.
well played.
We are.
Well played.
We are. I'll take that title.
I have a question. Do you guys ever envision the 3 of you creating your own retreat destination, your own retreat center, where people come to the 3 of you?
So Andrew's not going to talk about it. I'll talk about it. Andrew's
No,
wish is.
I'm gonna stop you real quick. You didn't get to hear the question? The question was, do we envision ourselves having our own retreat center that you could all just come to one day?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
yes.
Don't give away the address because somebody.
I have a question then. Where would it be?
I would guess in Tennessee, since Andrew and I live the closest, it wouldn't take very much to convince Rob to pitch in or to jump in that location, or maybe moving it a little further west. But whatever Andrew wants to go, I'll support it.
Tennessee's good.
In my
No, you gotta move to Texas.
in my 3-year plan is to open a retreat center. I at one time had 2 buyers that were going to help me. One of them, I didn't react quick enough. He invested his money somewhere else and lost it all. Otherwise, we would be in the building process right now on 325 acres, halfway between Knoxville and Chattanooga. Somewhere near Athens. There's only one retreat center that sleeps 12. I want to do 24 to 30.
Bring your tent.
Has Bayfield ice cream too, don't they?
Indeed they do.
And when it comes to using something in Texas, we're always available to teach at Stitchin Heaven, of course. It's just a matter of getting it on the calendar, making it make sense. And so I have a real strong feeling we'll be asked to do some land-based things, in the near future too, as well as these guys are already booked on the next year's cruise. So, and I don't know if I just haven't been asked if I would be joining or not yet. So, I kind of was afraid it was. I was threatening to only do one of these ever. So I was hoping.
You gonna tell that story
What's that about getting sick?
about the sandbag and duct tape special?
You told me I had the option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he does not want to come on the next cruise or
Wait,
on
wait,
this
wait.
cruise,
I thought it was this cruise.
Yeah, this cruise, we offered a sandbag and duct tape special where he gets to go on our record and not his own. But he decided to pack his own clothes and come on board with some patch or something on the side of his neck.
Right.
So.
Right. And those of you who did not notice, not only have I not been ill at all on this trip, but the things I have learned such as I shaved today while the boat was not moving. No more problems. Yes. Well, the things it takes, you know, first time around, I guess, right?
But he's not shaving again till he hits land.
What's that, Liz?
Electric,
Electric next time. Yes, absolutely.
best chance of cuts.
Yeah. Didn't get my white wristband yet, but I survived shaving a second time. Right.
Yeah.
Just do it on the days you're at port. I figured it out. Yeah. Next question, please.
So what is the worst injury you've ever sustained quilting?
Oh wow, that's a good question.
Have you tried to cut a finger off?
Rotary cutter.
Actually, I sprained my ankle tripping over Gunner. He's one of my dogs. He likes to lay underneath the table, and I stepped wrong without wanting to stomp on him and sprained an ankle, but never anything on the table or anything else.
Pass.
Okay.
No.
I had a come apart. A UPS driver came. I was putting binding on a quilt. It was wrapped around my leg, the chair, the sewing machine. I got up to answer the door, and we all fell.
Can I take back my pass?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's pretty much quilt related. I was at Sister's Outdoor Quilt Show the year that it finally rained at like 2:30 in the afternoon. Show usually comes down at 4. So we ran through the whole little town of Sisters gathering quilts as fast as we could. And then we went and gathered back at Stitchin Post, the quilt shop there, and I had the very last basket of batiks. I was running inside and I slipped and landed and just threw all of the batiks all over the muddy water, crushed the basket, skinned up my knees, skinned up the palms of my hands. And so, yeah, that's the only injury I've sustained that was somewhat quilt related.
Forget you. What happened to the batiks?
Oh, well, because they were batiks, we rinsed them and we hung them to dry,
Okay.
and they were fine.
When it wasn't
Thank
raining.
you.
Yeah, batiks were just fine.
All right.
That's a good question. What else we got out there? What else you want to know?
While there's a lull,
Oh.
I'm gonna take an
Wait.
opportunity to give you something.
Oh, look at these. Wow. I got a new pair of socks. Is it because you noticed I was wearing the same socks 2 days in a row?
Cannot confirm nor deny.
Thank you.
And they're not mental health socks either.
Not anymore, I changed. I got my Sasquatch in the kitchen socks on.
Who's your most favorite fabric designer?
Me, of course. Gentlemen, go ahead. Take a guess.
Rob Appell. But Peter Parling's a close second.
Who?
Peter Parling.
Peter Paul?
Yeah, Peter Parling.
Stock fabrics.
Stock Fabrics.
Never heard of him.
I don't know. See, it's,
I didn't until we went to Iowa. When we went to Iowa, and we went to Tony Jacobson's store.
Yeah.
He had a Peter Parling section, and I could not leave that section.
He went
And
back three times.
I might
Three
have,
times.
and I might have not bought every one of them. I'm putting together a quote right now on the channel where all the designers are men, and it'll be quilted by a man, pieced by a man. The back,
you can get him
the back is that circle.
The bubble.
Oh yeah, you're gonna put the back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And send your 1-inch binding for him to quilt. Because
Yeah.
I bind it. I'm not
Oh
binding.
yeah, I love binding.
The name of the quote is XY chromosome.
And I would say that my favorite fabric line is Rob's, but I don't have any.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
I do.
Between that friendship, just a little bit of one.
Well, we had the conversation. We're waiting for the newer worlds
Right.
to be available.
So I can save postage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I gotta send you the backing for Mark's quilt at the same time.
Oh, because he's gonna send me the top anyway.
And right. So I might as well just mail it all to you at once.
Yeah.
We figured that out.
Otherwise, I'm a big Stonehenge fan because of the patriotic line.
Oh yeah.
Same.
Rob,
Yes.
are you going to do a video with some instruction on how to make your cute little hats and crowns?
Oh, the crown. Okay, question is, will we be doing tutorials for hats and crowns? Andrew was the one who made up the crowns. And the bucket hat was made by one of the students at my last retreat. So if I could find a good pattern that the designer will allow me to demo on my channel, sure, I'd love to. It's a fun thing. You're never sure which video is gonna make everybody happy, so you just try them all. You know, there's no right or wrong answer really, as long as you've got the blessings of the people that are making the pattern out there, really.
Or editing your video for you.
Or editing the video, or doing whatever, right?
Where's the weirdest place you've been in pursuit of quilting?
Andrew's living room.
Did she say the most frightening? No. The weirdest place we've been in pursuit of quilting. You want to go first?
I don't know, that stone, that air compressor quilt really got me.
Yeah, you like
I
that?
mean, we're literally driving down the road 35 miles an hour, and to see it, just a glimpse of it in the shadows. I mean, that dirt road, banjo music.
Yeah. I have a bunch of stories. I actually want to write a book entitled Stories No Other Quilter Can Tell. Although right now I think I've only got 2 or 3 of them. I'll make them brief, but I was in Connecticut and I'd been hired to come for the guild and then teach at the local quilt store. Some of the questions you don't think to ask is, will you have space for more than 7 people in your shop in the local quilt store? Which was the case. This shop was a no. 6 or more students, we had to go down to the pizza parlor at the end of the street. Which was pretty great because the pizza parlor primarily did takeout. So while I was teaching quilting from behind the counter, and one of the people was actually throwing dough, the 2 students at the very farthest back in the booth where there are sewing machines and they were pinned for the whole day, and you're gonna love this, Kevin, they got free pressing from those of us at the end of the booth because they were trapped because we were sitting in a pizza parlor booth, and so the people at the end had to do all the pressing. So things like that can happen. Recently, I got to go to McDonald's to pick up a box of bolts of fabric that had been delivered incorrectly to McDonald's fabric, and even though I had the box had been named addressed to me and the manager had called me, manager was no longer there, so they almost didn't give me the box of fabric. I started to get a little heated and asked them, to the wonderful staff at McDonald's restaurant, yeah, we're talking about the same Golden Arches at McDonald's restaurant, I said, do you guys get so much mail delivered here incorrectly that people are constantly coming in and out of the restaurant asking for their mail by name, telling you exactly what's in the box? May I please have my fabric? I'm on deadline here. So I've definitely had some interesting situations in the quilting world. What about you, Mark?
Recently when we did Minot, the Minot
Why not
Prairie.
Minot? Woo!
Why not Minot? Freezing is the reason.
Yep.
we were in Minot doing that prairie, the Minot Prairie Quilters Guild, and Andrew couldn't get his room, and it was late at night. And this hotel was the direct copy of the hotel in The Shining. So Andrew had to keep coming down to go get a new key because none of them worked, or something in the room didn't work. So we were going up a hallway. You remember the hallway scene where the little girl comes out?
The 2 little girls?
So I'm talking to my camera like, if he comes around that corner, I am out of here. And that was pretty shaky because they were rebuilding and it was real creepy in there. I was like, okay, this is getting out of control.
I only moved rooms twice.
Yeah.
The first room didn't have any heat,
Yeah.
and the second room, the key thing didn't work. It took anywhere from 14 to 31 times of me putting my key in there for it to work.
Yeah. Super creepy.
Okay, my last one. What is your worst quilting disaster and how did you fix it?
Worst quilting disaster and how did we fix it?
They're all disasters.
Donation quilt.
Worst quilting.
What was the first quilt you made for Marsha at that time?
Oh, okay. So a friend was going through chemo, and she wanted me to build a quilt for her friend. So it was a kaleidoscope. It was an upside down, backwards kaleidoscope, I guess. It was my first attempt at a kaleidoscope, and it was everywhere. So when I go to square it, it was shaped. It was shaped in a U. So I had to start all over again because I couldn't fix it, and I wasn't gonna call these guys to help me. But that was pretty much it. Yeah.
I don't think I've got any good humorous quilt disaster stories.
Well, disasters are never humorous.
No. I would have to say the suitcase of projects that were created prior to losing the job at Missouri Star. And there were a couple of friends, Carly Porter was one of them. I'd done a very special quilt and I was gonna make a big thing out of it. And so there was a series of projects that I created that none of you've ever seen because I was devastated by the loss of the job. I didn't have any place else to film them. I just sold off the quilt tops at a retreat I was at.
You sold them off? Really?
So yeah. My son wanted one of them, so he got to keep one. But most of those were pretty painful because I was let go January 4th, so I had worked like crazy all through the holidays to get ready. So if I would have only known, or if they would have only brought me out there and filmed more content and then let me go, but just the way it all rolled out, those are my most disappointing quilts. So, but now look where I get to be. So.
Have y'all considered doing a historical quilt like Dear Jane or the Farmer's Wife?
Whose wife?
Dear Jane or the Farmer's Wife? Have y'all ever considered doing something like that?
I want to do the 365 quilt where you do one block every day.
Oh, like a temperature quilt?
No, it's.
You could do a temperature quilt that way.
This is in depth, like little blocks.
Right.
You haven't had any disasters, Andrew?
I haven't had a
You kind of bypassed that.
Good catch.
I was trying to avoid the conversation because I really hate to admit the fact that I was wrong and mismeasured or mispurchased.
Everybody get out your cell phones. We're about to get one here.
I had promised someone a quilt, and for sale, of course, and did not purchase enough fabric at the quilt shop, and had to search the internet trying to find a specific place. And someone came through after 4 days of endless searching.
So what did you learn from that?
I learned to make sure to buy more fabric.
Buy more fabric, yes.
And double check your numbers, especially when you're using EQ8 or something like that, just to make sure in your heart of hearts, understanding that the computer could be wrong or you may have input it wrong. Yeah.
Do you make all of your quilts by computer?
All of my own quilts I do use EQ8 for. And have been known to help someone when they call me and say, hey, you got time? Hey, can you help me with this thing? I want to see if it's going to work.
Yeah, can you check my math? Is what he's saying. I call him, what? Can you plug this into EQ8 and check my math real quick? And
you didn't use a computer on that one, the donation one, no?
Yes, I did.
I thought you...
Not at first, because I was drawing it on my tablet as you were driving from North Dakota. The day of the eclipse, we left Indianapolis. All of the traffic is going north to be in the zone of totality.
Yeah.
Mark's driving, there's nobody on the road. Yeah. From Indianapolis to Louisville, I think we saw 4 cars headed south.
Yeah.
And I'm over there playing around with my tablet drawing this quilt out because I had a grand idea to do this quilt 60 by 80 and then cut it diagonally and take the top left of Mark's and the bottom right of mine and sew them together and give it to Heroes Ranch, and they got your 6 to auction to go for Gold Star families to do outdoor activities. And the other half of that was going to the little boy whose Marine father committed suicide after leaving an in-depth note blasting the VA and its horrible care. So anyway, I thought better of the attempt of sewing on the bias a 60 by 80 rectangle and decided to do it by blocks. So I plugged it into EQ8 and then sent Mark the picture. That way there was no question about what it should look like.
We're gonna have something coming out though where the 3 of us are gonna put something out, right? Like a quilt that the 3 of us work on.
Well, I mean the eagle, right?
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about that?
No, I don't want to.
Okay.
Why don't you want to talk about that?
Because I hoodooed him in North Dakota to help me iron that applique quilt down.
Right.
Because I didn't do it.
Right.
Since the retreat.
Right.
When you didn't do it.
Right. Well, it wasn't. I ran out of time. It takes 3 of us to finish one quilt. And it's still not done.
Still not done.
Still not done.
That's okay.
That's a UFO.
Yeah.
But it's
So-
Rob's
No, this was all your idea.
I got 4. The eagle's gonna haunt.
One for each of us.
I got, because I got my part done and I hoodwinked Carl into finishing cutting it for me. Right? Because I was in charge of the eagle.
Where is it?
Yeah, where is it?
That's at my house.
Okay.
What does the eagle look like?
We are working on a quilt.
He looks like this.
Yeah, it's a pretty badass eagle. We wanna make an opportunity for some lucky individual to own a quilt that a bunch of us have worked on, in order to pay for pizza and snacks at a 2-night retreat.
And peanut M&Ms.
And peanut M&Ms. Good. Oh, peanut M&Ms, pretzels, and pizza for an extra night at our men's retreat, or the retreat we're doing in August. So it was just a way of us having something to try to push towards ourselves. Andrew drew up a beautiful, big silhouette of an eagle. Originally, I wanted to see if we could cut it on the laser at Stitchin Heaven, because we wanted to make it something that would be awesome and available, something that could actually be appliqued on top of any, veteran-based quilt, and just beautiful.
38 inches.
Wingspan.
Wingtip
Beautiful, super intricate, and as well designed as it was, unfortunately, it caught the laser machine on fire. So it was a little bit too many points and tips and whatnot. So we did it by hand, which was I did it by hand.
Yeah, there we go.
Right, I did it by hand, which meant I started it and then I walked away for 3 days and I came back and our friend Carl had finished it. So.
Clay must have loved that.
Well.
Clay may not know.
He might not know. Yeah. And I think it actually caught the fabric on fire, not the laser on fire. But I love saying it caught the laser on fire because that just makes me so happy.
How many times did it catch it on fire?
The laser or the fabric? Enough that they stopped. We ran 3 different tests and they kept telling me this was not going to be possible. So we stopped. It was fun.
So it's too big to put on a Cricut. So
some quilts just have to be man-handled that way. You see what I'm saying? Man-handled that way. Get these things done. Yep. Next question, please.
What's your favorite sewing notion, if you have one? Like something you can't live without when you're sewing.
Quilting tool.
Favorite sewing notion or tool? I'm assuming you're not talking about the machine itself.
Right.
I'm talking about you.
No, I'm not talking about me.
That's easy
Not
for me.
talking
Seam
about-
ripper.
Seam ripper?
I'm a champ.
I'm gonna say clapper, because if I don't have my clapper, I'm just gonna leave the pieces because I know the results that I'm gonna get with it. So there's no point of ironing them twice. Just not gonna waste my time the first time.
I really like the little miniature rotary cutter I came up with a few years ago. It's called the Shark.
Yeah. That thing was a hit at Minot.
Yeah.
Andrew brought one, so I was teaching applique, and I
This is a good part of the story.
I borrowed
You
Andrew's
what?
applique.
You borrowed it?
Yeah, I borrowed Andrew's.
And you said, can I borrow your Shark?
No, I just took it.
Yes.
So anyway,
Okay. As long as we got that out there.
I show it to the class, and I had to reach out to Rob because everyone wanted one, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have them. So reached out to Rob and bought the rest of them. We had 6 left.
Yep.
And they went out the window. So that shark's tooth is
really
good.
It works great for what it's designed for, and because that's what I like to do with a lot of little applique. It's just, if you haven't seen it, it's a little mini 14mm applique.
Very little.
Very little, and you use it.
Not
Not
for ruler
anything that uses a template. All for free cutting.
Free cutting.
Single layers of wool if you're doing wool applique. It's a couple of layers of cloth if you want that stabilized. So, and funny enough, I think the other thing that's really important is lighting. I mean, it's one of the things I think we kind of sometimes forget, but we've been doing a lot of videos on people's studios in their homes and things on our channel, and it's really fun. Having a table, like we were talking about last night, having a nice table that's at the appropriate height and good light is really making a difference, because I feel like I can see the lines better when I'm cutting, all of that kind of stuff.
Chance for one, not multiple. Steal the show some more, Rob.
I'm just thinking, what if I don't have an answer for the next question?
That's what you get your pass for.
Oh, never mind.
Next.
Lighting is good. Lighting is important, but
Do you
for the
only
standard.
do, I don't know, put this, red, white, and blue type quilts?
98% of the quilts that I do are red, white, and blue.
Okay, and yours, Mark?
I try to stay away from it.
Okay.
Pinks and flowers.
Pinks and flowers. Just
The Christmas
Pink and
fabric and
flowers.
the cheeks.
Yeah.
I'll be leaning more forward into my Combat Quilting and art, making art with it. But red, white, and blue is, I mean, I love our flag, but
Been there, done
after
that?
been there, done that, served it. I'll leave that to Andrew.
And that's what I like about the three of us. We each have our thing that's different.
Yeah.
Not all piggybacking off of Rob's fabric.
Right. There wouldn't be enough
Since
of
you
it out
don't
there.
have it.
Yeah, since you don't have it anyway. I appreciate you pointing that out. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
What's your
I'll give you
favorite
my
color?
$20 when I leave.
What's your favorite color combination for quilting?
Oh, Lord.
I'll give you one guess.
Green.
Right? Green. I love green. Any forms of green, greens and blues, turquoises, and then something white or black against it that's going to throw a heavy contrast. Greens and purple together, or all the colors. I was interviewing a gal, and I think it was her son, pretty little, said, my favorite color is rainbow. So I think sometimes my favorite color is rainbow. It's how they work together for me, really. It's more how they jive.
And I'm Civil War. 85% of my collection is Civil War, more leaning towards the red, white, and blue.
Really?
I like all the colors, but the more obscene, the more I like them. But
the
if you hold
brighter-
me down, gray. I love gray. All shades of gray. I love gray.
That's
Because gray, no one likes gray, so that's why I like gray.
Aw.
well, I made each one of them a seam ripper because I. What's that?
50 Shades of Grey?
That's a good one.
All the shades. You can just.
All right, you're making me sweat now. All right.
Hey, don't you need a Kleenex?
Any other questions?
Do you ever use ombres in your kaleidoscopes?
Not yet. Not yet.
The question was, does he ever use ombres in his quilting? And actually, Joey, he just mentioned his newest quilt is made out of fabric, all designed by hombres.
You know what?
It's a bad dad joke, but I love bad dad jokes so much. I'm the king of bad dad jokes. Any other?
Where do you keep your dad jokes?
What's that?
Where do you keep your dad jokes?
I don't know where do I keep it.
In your database.
Oh, in my database. Oh, that's bad. That is a bad one. Any other questions we should try to answer for? Oh, great.
All right.
I'm loving it, so keep it going.
Sorry,
No,
I'm giving
but-
everybody a chance.
That's
So,
okay.
So for us that make quilts for veterans and active military, are there any specific do's and don'ts that you would recommend? That most of, 90% of what I get are going to men. So I'd like to hear your perspective on what to do in a quilt.
As a service member, if you were going to give me a quilt, I would prefer that you do it in the service that I serve, like a Marine quilt for Marines.
So theme?
Army
Fabric,
for Army.
theme fabric, yeah.
Yeah, that fabric. Yeah, we will gravitate to the service that we serve.
Yep.
I mean, we'll take it all. I mean, you're gonna get a hug from me no matter what. But if you took the time to put Marine details on it, oh yeah.
If you
Oh,
personalize
yeah.
it with a branch.
That's right.
Big hit.
That's right. The branches, they're a hit.
And I'm going to say the gold fabric, use it in a quilt, but don't put it in a star. Gold stars are reserved for Gold Star families, those people who've lost a family member in the service at in a combat zone. So gold stars, yes, I understand there's lots of patterns and stuff out there with gold stars in them, but please don't do it. Change it to a light blue or a different color.
Unless that's why you're doing the star, right? Unless it's going to a family.
Unless it's going to a
Unless
gold
you
star
specifically,
family.
then definitely
And
go
what
for it.
organization gives those to Gold Star families?
None that I know of.
There
But if you do
was a
gold star,
group
maybe
called Home of the Brave,
Oh, right.
Okay.
and they are still out there. I have a long armor who used to be a part of the national organization, and they have a database of who they've given them to. And so, if you can find them, but their quilts were all a replica of a Civil War quilt from the sanitation group that gave quilts at that point. And you know, a Gold Star family, if you made a quilt for them, like Mark said, they're gonna love you no matter what. So it's still possible.
What do you suggest for a female service member with PTSD, making them a quilt of
Same
what
thing.
kind?
Same thing, branches. We are one military, but between us, we like to josh each other. We know what each other can do. We know what each other are capable of. Female, male, it doesn't matter. Female Marine is going to feel the same way about a Marine quilt that I do.
It's all one big fraternity, but everybody's just different.
But I don't think they make CV.
CBs they're a department in the Navy, so if you're just doing a Navy quilt, they'll take it.
CBs, dozers, heavy equipment, glues and
Right,
brakes,
the
things
lady
like
I'm
that.
speaking of, she's in my quilt group, and she's 30 years retired, and she has PTSD out of the CBs.
You can find CB patches and things, and you can ask her, do you have any emblems or patches that you would like? Put on the quilt.
And for that one, that specific quilt, once you get it done and you don't put CBs in it, send it to me, let me quilt it. I got the CB's logo that I'll put all over it. And Mark, are you okay?
What?
It's been 45 minutes and I haven't seen you with a crayon in your mouth yet.
He's got one
It's in
behind
his ear.
In case of emergency, break glass. All right, well played. I see you hid it from me.
Alright, on that note, guys, what Sesame Street character do you most closely identify with?
Oh, that's easy.
What was the question?
Oscar the Grouch, of course.
What Sesame Street do we most identify ourselves with?
Mark, you better say Snuffleupagus.
I'm trying to remember all of the.
Rob's gotta be Big Bird.
I was thinking I was Big Bird. I was thinking
The center of attention?
Yeah.
I was thinking Elmo.
Right. Well, but see, Elmo wasn't part of my Sesame Street.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, Elmo didn't come out till the 90s.
Yeah, Elmo is. Yeah, he's past. I'm past that era.
Yeah, but
I was a big fan of Ernie and Bert. They were my favorite. I even have little Ernie and Bert, characters in my sewing room. But you asked what I most identify with, and I have a feeling that you all probably view me as Big Bird on roller skates.
That's it.
Yeah.
I
Or a
think Andrew,
skateboard.
I think Andrew's right. There's definitely going to be Snuffleupagus.
Yeah.
Hey, bird.
Hello, laid back and chill.
Yeah, right.
No care in the world.
That's
Right.
definitely
Just
it.
cruising.
It's only fabric and it's only thread.
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
cruising.
Yeah, that's true.
And
Snuffleupagus is imaginary.
And you, Andrew?
Oh, Oscar the Grouch, of course.
Yes.
All right.
I can see that.
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a good one. That's fun.
that's the guy that was in the trash can, right?
Can you all tell everybody where we can find you, where we can follow you online?
Oh, okay. What is our social media accessibilities?
I'll be on Instagram.
I'm on everything. Instagram.
YouTube is always.
I'm not on. What's the one the kids are on?
TikTok.
I have, but the Chinese are on that. I'm not feeling that. But I'm on YouTube. You can definitely, you type in The Quilting, I'll come up. The Quilting Marine, I'll come up. And it's only fabric and it's only thread. Will be on Rumble.
It's
Rumble.
only fabric,
And it's only thread.
I've never heard of Rumble. What's that?
Yeah.
That's why I'm going to be on Rumble. I'm trying to
But if
dodge
you would like to invest, we can see you after the show. We have a small investment package we can set you up with. A buy-in now, you get free subscription for life. It'll be fine.
Did you bring your checkbook?
Yes. And we can put it on the ship card.
He's like, Rob.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook and
We're trying to get him to do
YouTube.
content.
and YouTube as the Combat Quilter. And yes, everybody's
Where's your content going to be, Andrew?
on YouTube.
Okay, all right.
And my content is technically Stitchin Heaven's YouTube channel. That's the only place I'm putting out videos. And my social media I do with Facebook and Instagram under my name, Rob Appell. And there's also a So Well with Rob Appell private Facebook group. And I don't do but maybe 1 or 2 posts a week. So you're probably, but I'd love to have you follow along, especially the So Well Facebook group, because it's something that makes Deb happy, it makes me happy. I'm paying more attention to that than the other stuff. So,
Make Deb happy.
make Deb happy.
Put the
I have a
word- put the word out.
robappell.com,
Yeah,
but
put the word out.
yeah, but most of the stuff I'm doing right now is through Stitchin Heaven. And the show's called So Well, but Stitchin Heaven is the actual YouTube channel. That's a good question, thanks.
So we'll be cruising next year, March 9th through the what?
16.
Yeah. We'll be back.
And then we're
Right, Rob?
Yep.
All right.
Me too, maybe.
No. You will be back.
We'll see. I had a few folks ask me, and I don't know that they're even here, but I'm going to still tell that story of the rest of my Iwo Jima quilt, because the day after I did my trunk show, everyone said, well, what was with the quilt? It was up there. You mentioned it, I believe. I don't even remember, because what I did wasn't my canned trunk show. Like, again, we got to see Andrew's. It was professional. It was polished. So I don't even remember what I said. That was like 4 days ago, right? But I believe I mentioned at least that I was a recovering alcoholic, and that Iwo Jima quilt was one of the first quilts I tried to work on in recovery. Did I leave you all about in that place? Okay, did I tell you it went to Sisters and all of that kind of stuff, and I was trying to buy it back? Did I get that far into that quilt?
No.
Okay.
Your squirrel story went elsewhere.
Okay, yeah, I did. So,
Just being honest.
no, I know, that's why so many folks have asked me. So the last 3 or 4 minutes of the story with the flag and Iwo Jima quilt over there was I tried to donate it to Operation Homefront so they could raffle it off. In doing so, you had to give it a minimum bid so that it could be a tax accountable and all that kind of stuff. I was standing next to Alex Anderson at that moment. We'd had a beautiful presentation in Portland at the International Quilt Festival, and I said, I think I'm going to ask for $10,000. And Alex said no, and I said, do you think that's too much? And she said, no, way too little. She goes, unfortunately, Rob, with these kinds of things, someone's going to come along with more dollars than cents. They're going to buy it to feel good and fold it up and put it in a closet somewhere. But your job, you set out for this, was to raise money for the veterans. So I'm suggesting $25,000 is the minimum bid on that quilt. Write it, sign it, or I'm never talking to you again. So that's what I did, and I turned that in. And after 14 or 15 months of it traveling around, we realized there wasn't going to be an auction. So it wasn't going to fill its mission, and I was not going to have raised any money for Operation Homefront. Sorry, I guess I've been yelling the whole week. All of a sudden, my voice just cracked. Or puberty, thank you. You remember, it was just moments ago for you as well. So.
More like yesterday.
So.
I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10.
So then I get invited back to Sisters, Oregon, where the quilt has been on display, and I get to be the featured artist in this display a year later. So the quilt's up, people are coming by, they're getting postcards and photos and all that all day long, and I just really felt moved to do something more to try to earn the quilt back. So I called Operation Homefront on Monday after the show, told them I wasn't mailing the quilt back, and I was going to travel with the quilt, telling my story on stage with my trunk show, finishing with that quilt, and why we should be supporting our veterans. And in the process, I learned a lot about PTSD and understanding a little bit more, because I'm not a veteran, a little bit more about what these guys have maybe been through in the concept of family. You know, leaving their homeland family, becoming a family that keeps them safe, until all of a sudden one of them or a couple of them end up in a hospital somewhere with no family around, or like what Mark still struggles with is the survivor's guilt, right? And so trying to understand why there's no family around, coming back to a stateside family that doesn't understand because they haven't been, they haven't seen. How could they ever quite get what that's like, right? So a lot of these folks are just lost when they get back, I was learning. And so that's why it became so important to me to try to offer help. And so we were able to earn the quilt back. It took me about 18 months of traveling. I got one donation for $6,000 and I received another donation for 16 cents. And the 16-cent donation came from a person that was diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome, and she wanted to travel around and talk about alcohol recovery. And the $6,000 donation came from a gal whose husband passed recently, but had a lot of complications from Agent Orange, yet served as an alcohol addiction counselor for the VA. So again, we're never quite sure who we're going to be threading needles with, right, or cutting, quilt squares out with. We never quite sure who we're sitting next to. I'm sure a lot more of us have more in common than we do apart, really, especially if you'll just kind of think about what we like to do with our quilting and our hobby and our time that way. So now, fortunately, I own the quilt. When I turned in my donation to Operation Homefront, it happened to be that Procter & Gamble was offering a match donation up to $25,000. Wow. And so I happened to give myself now credit for $50,000 was raised by a single quilt, and that money all went back to Operation Homefront, which is providing financial and medical assistance for the veterans as they're coming home. And so I get to keep the quilt now until I find a better place for it. I also offered it to the memorial at Pearl Harbor. I thought that would be a really neat place for it to be seen on display, but it didn't fit the criteria. So if anyone has a great suggestion, but I kind of like traveling with it. I have a love-hate relationship with the quilt, actually. A lot of times it restarts emotions, and a lot of times when people see it, then I'm gonna be informed of what their family tragedy's been, their trauma they've been through, because it brings back memories in a lot of ways. And so I love it because it speaks to people, and I hate it because often then I feel, after a long show or a couple of days of talking to folks about the quilt, I feel kind of toxic inside, and a lot of times I'll have a real low day afterwards. But I guess I feel like if I'm going to be blessed enough to have such an easy job of making quilts and talking about quilts, a couple of days of heavy afterwards, I guess, is still worth taking for what the message we can carry. So I am personally super, super thrilled to get to spend this week on this cruise with all of you. And I know a lot of you have served the country, and I know a lot of your family members have served the country. And I just hope this has been a super special cruise for all of you, and you got what you were hoping for by getting to spend time with these two heroes. If I may, when I need it.
No.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Are we done?
If you'd like
After that, I think you.
Yeah, should we just go quilt now? Does everybody need to be excused?
I need to, so I don't cry.
Yeah. Thanks again.